Hey folks, this is Tony from Audio Basics. Today, we're going to walk through the setup of your home recording / podcasting / streaming mic setup. There are a few pieces of equipment that you might see in a typical system, so I'm going to quickly go through the basic pieces that might be common. First, you've got the microphone. This captures your physical audio and converts it into an electrical signal. You can check out my previous video to help you decide what style of mic is best for you right here. Next, we have your microphone cable plugging into your audio interface. Arguably, the center of your setup is going to be this piece of equipment. These products typically convert your analog audio signal from any source, such as a microphone, synthesizer, or instrument, into a digital signal that is sent to your computer for recording or streaming. Some folks refer to these units as AD converters, indicating the transfer of the signal from analog to digital. Most of these boxes are going to have an XLR microphone input, or in some cases, multiple. Also, connecting to your interface are both your headphones and studio monitor speakers. Headphones are going to allow you to hear your microphone in real time along with audio from your computer. Typically, you don't want your mic coming out live from your monitor speakers, unless they're set up in a separate room. This is because your mic will feed back with the speakers. Basically, it creates a loop of sorts with the microphone, where similar frequencies are being put out by the speakers, and the mic then picks those up, which are in turn amplified again through the speakers, creating a feedback loop. This is why you see most folks recording with headphones on to avoid this situation. There are other products that you may see frequently in this basic setup, such as external preamps, processors, mixers, and monitor controllers. For today, though, we're going to focus on the meat and potatoes of your setup: the mic, recording interface, speakers, and headphones, as well as connecting to your computer. The first thing you're going to want to do here is visit your interface manufacturer's website and download the latest software. These units are typically packaged and shipped months in advance from when you purchase them, if not years, so you can pretty much count on the software that comes in the box being out of date. You can see here that my interface I'm using today is the Universal Audio Apollo Twin. As such, I have gone to Universal Audio's website and downloaded the latest software, and I'm now installing the package. Make sure to match up your operating system to whatever you're currently running. On Mac, you can go to the top left corner of your screen to the Apple logo and click on About This Mac to see what OS you're running. On Windows, you're almost always going to be on the latest version of Windows 10, thanks to forced updates. After installing the software, let's plug in your interface to the computer. Some interfaces are bus powered, meaning they receive power from the same cable they attach to the computer through. This is quite common for many USB interfaces. However, there are plenty of units, such as mine, that require external power. Now, before we actually plug in our interface, let's take a look at how it connects to your computer. There are a ton of choices out there for these products, and there are several options in terms of how they connect to your computer. Probably the most common connection type you'll see is USB. However, even within the USB family, there are many confusing choices. You've got USB 2.0, USB 3.0, or 3.1, then you've got USB-C. It's extremely important to make sure that you confirm what ports your computer has and purchase an interface that works with your setup. Some other options that interfaces have for computer connection include Firewire, PCI for desktop-style computers, and Thunderbolt. Quick note on Thunderbolt. This is the legacy or previous version of the Thunderbolt connection. However, the current version, Thunderbolt 3, uses the same connector as USB-C. The way to tell the difference between these ports is the Lightning logo. If your port on your computer has this logo, you can purchase and use a Thunderbolt interface. Otherwise, USB or USB-C are going to be the only options for you. As you can see, my interface uses the older Thunderbolt connection, which my also older MacBook here has. Easy.
That was easy.
I'm going to first connect the power, then connect the Thunderbolt cable. After that, I'll turn the power on the interface, and it should connect automatically to the computer. You can test the connection by selecting your interface as the sound device on your system and playing back some music or a YouTube video. Plug your headphones into the unit to hear the results. Make sure you turn the volume all the way down on your unit first, then put your phones on and slowly increase the volume. Okay, let's set your microphone up. Depending on the style of mic you've purchased, it may come with something like this. It's called a shock mount. Typically, these come with or are sold in addition to condenser microphones. They help prevent handling noise and also help to stop vibrations from the floor reaching your sensitive microphone and adding unwanted noise into whatever audio you're capturing. They are also occasionally used for dynamic microphones, just for the record. Next, we're going to connect the microphone to a mic stand. Here in the US, mic stands have a finely threaded connection that looks like this. While overseas, they use a more coarse threaded mounting system shown here. This is why most microphone manufacturers commonly include this piece into your mic's packaging. This allows you to adapt your mic to whatever connection you've got. On some occasions, manufacturers will have this piece already screwed into where your mic mounts. It's easy to remove, however. Just use a coin or multi-tool. You're doing great. Another piece of the puzzle here is the pop filter. Some mics have them built in, such as the Shure SM58 or SM7B. Some folks still like to use pop filters even in front of these style of mics, and that's fine, whatever you think sounds best. However, if you've purchased a condenser mic and plan on using it for vocal applications, you definitely want a pop filter, as these mics are more sensitive to plosives. Also briefly explained in my previous video about dynamic versus condenser microphones. Self-plug. Boom! After we've got the mic set up on the stand, let's look at connecting it to your interface. A standard XLR cable is your typical connection from mic to its destination. The two ends are opposite each other, so it's easy to figure out which way it's supposed to plug in. The ports on your interface will look either like this or like this. Both allow for an XLR cable to connect, but this one I refer to as a combo jack. It allows you to plug in both XLR and quarter-inch connections from sources such as guitar, keyboards, or external processors. Once the mic is connected to your interface, you're going to want to dial in a setting on the interface's preamp to make sure you're getting a good strong signal from the mic. Most interfaces have a physical knob for this setting, but some allow adjustment through software as well. Let's turn the preamp all the way down to start. Next, we'll want to make sure that we have the phantom power turned on if we are using a condenser microphone. Your condenser will not work unless you have this turned on. Okay, before we dial in the proper preamp setting, I want to address how to speak into a typical vocal microphone. First, determine if your mic is either top address or side address. This is extremely important to how your mic sounds. The paperwork included with your mic should show you what direction it's designed to pick up from, or you can just look it up on the Google. You want to make sure that the diaphragm of the mic is pointed directly at your mouth or as close to that angle as possible. Sound, as we interpret it, is changes in pressure, and when we speak, its primary source is your mouth. As such, we want to make sure that our microphone is properly angled to catch the most sound possible from its source. So next, you're going to speak into the mic and keep an eye on the signal LEDs on your interface or in your software. Start with the preamp all the way down and slowly dial it up while speaking directly into your mic. You may see no signal or very little at this point. Let's start turning your preamp up while you speak. You want to keep dialing it up until you see the signal getting close to clipping. Most interfaces have a clip indicator light to let you know when your signal is getting too strong. Once you're getting close to clipping, you typically want to dial the preamp back just a bit to avoid any louder sounds causing your preamp to distort. I'd like to draw attention at this point to the fact that turning your preamp up to a level where it is clipping is not going to break anything, but will cause your voice to be distorted. Here we can see a normal audio waveform that is not clipping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And here we can see a waveform that is heavily clipped and distorted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can you hear the difference? You've probably heard this or similar sounds on podcasts, YouTube videos, or live streams. This sound usually means that the preamp for the microphone is being overloaded with signal, and as such cannot take any additional volume. So it cuts off the waveform from any more dynamic range. I'd like to point out that talking into your mic and shouting into it will give you drastically different signal levels, so it's important to adjust your preamp settings thusly. In another video, we will talk about compressors and how these are used to reduce the dynamic range of your mic signal to allow the quieter sources to be louder and the louder sounds to be squashed. Once we have a decent mic signal setting, you can plug your headphones into your interface to monitor the sound of your mic. Try turning up the headphones so you can test out how the mic picks up your voice from different angles. Can you hear the difference? The last thing to talk about regarding the setup of your microphone is a pop filter. These are used to prevent plosives from hitting your mic's diaphragm, which will affect your sound negatively. These bursts of air are unavoidable, so a pop filter is quite necessary. Some mics do have pop filters built into their design, again, such as the Shure SM58 or SM7B. However, most condensers do not, and they are the most susceptible to this type of interference. Listen to the difference as I create a few plosives with and without a pop filter in place. Plosive, 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 plosive. Can you hear the differences? It can be the difference between your recording or podcast sounding professional or amateur. There are several options for traditional pop filters, including metal and thin cloth. This might be a cool DIY project too. The typical ones you purchase nowadays attach to your mic stand like so, and they have a gooseneck to adjust them. Okay, so now that we've got our mic, interface, and headphones set up, let's set some speakers up. Most modern studio speakers are typically described as active monitors. This is in reference to the fact that the speakers have amplification built in, so no external amplifier is needed. You can connect these to your interface via the main or monitor outputs, which are typically balanced quarter-inch connections. When purchasing these cables, you want to make sure that you use balanced ones. These are any quarter-inch cable that has 3 conductors like so. The 3 conductors on these cables allow your signal to travel along its route and get to the speakers without getting any background noise. In my case, I had to get quarter-inch balanced to XLR male cables as my monitors do not have quarter-inch inputs. No problem. Before we power on our studio monitors, let's check a couple things. First, we want to set the monitors up so that they are equidistant from each other as they are from your head while sitting in the mixing position, creating a perfect triangle. You also want to make sure that the speakers are raised up to a height where the high-frequency drivers are at about the level of your ears. If they aren't set up this way, you're not going to get an accurate representation of what they're putting out. Secondly, let's make sure the volume on the speakers is set to 0 dB or 12 o'clock or wherever the regular setting is. In my case, there is a notch at 12 o'clock on the knob at the front. Thirdly, let's double check that the output volume on your interface is turned all the way down. Lastly, let's double check with our mixer software that your microphone is muted and isn't going to be coming live out of your speakers. This will cause some gnarly feedback to occur and could result in damaging your speakers or your own ears. If you're unsure on how to do this, it may be best to disconnect the microphone for now while you're getting to know your way around the mixer software. After these steps, power on your studio monitors. Go ahead and select your interface as your sound device on your operating system like so. To test out that everything is working, turn on a YouTube video or play some music and begin to dial up your output knob on the interface. You're all set up. That was easy.
That was easy.
From here, you're going to download some software and start recording, streaming, or whatever the heck you want to do with your new mic setup. So, today we've covered hooking up your audio interface, setting up your mic situation, how to address your mic properly, and how to set up your studio monitors. We also learned how to speak into the correct side of your mic and how to properly set the level on your preamp. We also touched on the importance of a pop filter and how/why to use one. Please, let me know if you've still got some questions on this basic setup guide, and I'll gladly get to them when I can. Feel free to make suggestions about other audio-related topics that you have questions about as well. I'll link in the description to a few other videos that may be relevant to you. Check them out too. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram. I hope you learned something today, and I'm glad I could help you reinforce your audio basics. Thanks, and sound good.